Hey guys, Fire here from InDepth Gaming, bringing you another game review. This time we're checking out Magic Nations strategy card game. This game is developed and published by PrimeBit Games, released on November 5th, and is currently available for $9.99. So, what is Magic Nations? It's actually a game that came out on, I believe, PC and a couple other platforms a little while ago already, and just recently was brought to Xbox. It's a crossplay enabled collectible card game where it kind of takes bits from games like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and kind of meshes them all together. The game features a campaign which is extremely tough and very unforgiving. Features a quick game where you can play against players from around the world on any platform. You're kind of forced to play any platform. You can't really restrict it to just like new Xbox players, for example. That'll give you skill-based people that kind of have the same experience levels as you. There's a leaderboard system and a tutorial to help explain the game. Now, this game is very, how do I say this? Hard to pick up and play and learn. You have 6 different kind of factions that you can kind of choose from to build decks around, and each one kind of gives a different pro to con aspect when it comes to the game. To make the game as simple as possible, every card does different things. The game features turn orders that count down from the highest number that can be up to 15 all the way down to 1. Based on the number on your card in the top corner, that's going to be the turn order when your card gets to play. So it's set up like a lineup system. You may play actions with 5 or 6 of your cards before your opponent does anything, and then they could do 6 or 7 based on their card turn order, and it just varies on the cards that you're dealt with. You're given an initial set of cards when the hand starts, and you have 1 minute to place down your first 10 cards. You can put 5 cards in the front row, 5 cards in the back row. As you can see in the top left of these cards, a little easier to see on the right side of the screen, they have numbers. You have attack, health, and armor, and you get to lay your cards based on what their kind of ability lines are. As you can see, I want to lay a lot of my high cards early on, and then as cards die off, I'll get to lay down other cards. Sometimes you're going to be fortunate to get a bunch of cards that you can play in the front and back row. Sometimes you're not, and you might have dead spaces, as I do right now. Once you've laid all your cards out, you'll hit start, and then in that top corner, the game's going to count down basically the rounded system on when you can play. So you'll just kind of rinse and repeat this initial process until you either eliminate all the cards on your opponent's board, or you are down to becoming the very last player going in the game. The way the game works is you can attack, but if you don't kill the card, they get a chance to attack back. So you have to really focus and work on your strategies with how you're going to play and what cards you're going to have hit where, because that's greatly going to affect what happens to you in the game. So one thing that I do like about the game, and I hate to say this, there's not a ton of things that I really like, is when you do have a card die, you can play additional cards in your lineup. So playing to the number strengths is very, very important in this game, as it's going to help line you up to progress and get further and further, and making sure you attack the right cards in the right order to really set yourself up to succeed. You can't attack back row cards with front row cards until all the front row cards have been destroyed, so it is a game where you're going to constantly be juggling what's the next card you're going to play with, who's going to attack next, and really what's the order going to work for you. Sometimes things are just not going to work in your favor, and you're going to have to do attacks that will kill your guys off, and that's just kind of an unfortunate nature side of the game, but it's going to come down to a strategy of how did you place everything out, and is it going to work? For the most part, 90% of the time you do quick play, unfortunately you're going to be outmanned and teamed up with players that are, well, been playing on computer and have very high levels compared to you, and it's very unfortunate in that sense, is it becomes very difficult and challenging to really ramp up a deck. You're going to have to sit and grind quite a bit for this game. As far as the achievements and grinding, it doesn't really get any easier when the game requires you to get all the way up to level 100, which winning one basic game might net you a half a level or a quarter of a level, and that's just in your first, lower set of levels. So it's going to take you quite a bit of time to really climb up and start to unlock and gain any of those achievements in the game. So you're really going to have to spend, honestly, I think hundreds and hundreds of hours playing this game just to have a hopes of fully completing it out. Now, when a round does end, as you can see here, you're dealt one new card that you could potentially play in your deck, and the game's going to continue. As you can see, unfortunately, we did not manage to kill our opponent off, but we have done a lot more damage to him than he has to us. So now in the second round, we really need to focus on where are we going to put cards, who are we going to attack to really set ourselves up to take point. You want to really focus on the other cards in the game that you're going to attack based on that number sequence order. If you can kill off a lower number card, go for it because it's going to give you a better chance of succeeding before they're able to really hit and attack you. Sometimes there's going to be cards that allow them to regenerate their army or just set themselves up to succeed more. And you just really got to focus and find the best opportunities to really take out the other opponents in the game and set yourself up to succeed. There's going to be quite a bit of times though when you're just going to be set up for failure, and it's kind of a hard struggle and can be very frustrating at times when you are playing, but that's kind of just the nature of the game that's been built and presented before you. Overall, I do enjoy the game, although it is very, very frustrating at times with how some of the mechanics do work. I wish it wasn't such a grind fest of a game that requires you to do so much, and I think the learning curve of the game is extremely high. I don't think the tutorial explains the game very well. I think it could be formatted and set up so much better to really make the game easier for new players to pick up and play, and even experienced card game players might even have a better understanding of the basic principles of the game and its workings. Outside of that, I do, think the game is fun. It comes in at a $10 price point, which I think is a little bit of a big pill to swallow when it comes to what the game is really presenting for you. I don't think it's worth $10. I think should honestly have came out as more of like a free-to-play style game with maybe microtransactions that allow you to buy packs. The way you get more cards is by buying packs in-game. You can spend real-world money, but for the most part, you can just get by on playing and just grinding out coins that you unlock while playing. But it is a very, very slow process, like I said, as the game is very unforgiving, and you're going to level up and progress very, very slow in the game. If I have to give any real opinions on the game, if it's rather a buy, sale, or pass, I think I'm honestly going to say pass, unless they get this game's price point down to a much lower level. I don't think it's worth $10, and the skill curve just to really get going in this game and understand anything, I think is honestly way too high. You really have to spend a lot of time trying to understand the base mechanics, and some of the nations in the game are very one-sided. Overall though, if you do want to check the game out, it is available in the Xbox store right now. I hope you guys did enjoy this review, enjoyed watching some of the gameplay, and we'll catch you guys next time. I hope you have a great rest of your day.